waste classification sampling. So pretty much anyone that has a waste on the plant, before they either decide to dispose or recycle the waste, they need to get it classified so they know what contaminants are in the waste and how to treat the waste.
So after we've received a analysis requisition for this type of a sample, we'll gather up all of our tools in the lab and usually come out on a nice, clear, calm day like this. And then we generally start by looking at the pile and seeing where the best spots to take samples from are. And then we set out a plastic sheet on the ground and then go around to those different areas, placing a yellow cone down to make sure that we've taken samples from that spot. In each different location, we'll grab a pick or a shovel and dig underneath the surface level of the dirt to make sure that we're getting a nice homogeneous sample of whatever it is that we're digging for. And then we'll make our way slowly around all of the different piles.
It's extremely important to classify a waste before handling it, so it can be a safety kind of issue. But also for an environmental perspective, so that we're being responsible with our waste on site. Making
sure that we know, both in our lab and for all of the people doing the processes on plant, that we know exactly what's in the waste and what's in the water that goes through the plant as well. From a recyclability kind of point of view, some of these wastes can be put back into the process after they're classified. They kind of deem that they're okay, they're fit to go back into the process, and they can be determined whereabouts that can happen. It's important to take the correct samples at the correct time, because people on plant need to know what kind of processed water that they're dealing with, or in this case what waste samples that they're dealing with. And it's important to know the levels of specific contaminants and analytes in those samples to make sure that they're disposed of properly. We take the samples, we send it for asbestos testing first to make sure we're not going to expose anyone to potential asbestos contamination. We take it back to the lab, it gets crushed if it needs to, so some of the pieces in here are too big, so it needs to be a grain of rice or smaller. We then send it in one glass jar and one plastic jar. All of this gets sent to NMI then, which is National Measurement Institute in Sydney. They test it for a whole bunch of organics, pesticides, metals, anything that could contaminate the earth. They send back a report and we collate that with a whole bunch of different things, generate a report for the customer. I mean, I've always wanted to be a little mad scientist, and this is what I do.